All right, good afternoon, Facebook, and welcome to another edition of Real Estate Talk Live. This is Tony Martinez, broker of Extreme Realty Team, joined by my co-host. We have Omar Arcia here of the Arcia Law Firm. Welcome back, brother. How you doing?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm doing fantastic today.
All right.
Less than happy to be here with you, talking about our favorite topics and to our favorite people on Facebook Live.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and set this up. So if this is your first time joining us, welcome. And what this show is all about is real estate content. We cover a plethora of different topics. That's a good word there, right?
That's like a legal word.
That's like a legal word, huh?
A legal word. I am super excited about, let me tell you something, this is a great week. I'm super excited about this week. Not only because we have more views on our Facebook Live show than ever before, but also because there's so much activity going on right now that we need to tell our folks about. So if you're linking up right now, do not go away. We've got a ton of information coming your way. We encourage you to stay on board. We got lots of great questions that have been submitted by folks on Facebook Live. I've got some questions of my own that I want to talk to you guys about based on new clients and new cases that are coming in that you need to be aware of. And obviously, your questions are welcome. That's the heart and guts of this show, right? We want them to submit questions to us so we can answer it live.
Absolutely. So type them in. Type them in. We have a segment which is all about real estate related legal questions. Today we don't have a guest besides ourselves because we wanted to take this opportunity to go on everything from our soapbox to a rant about some of the practices within the industry that drive us nuts. And unfortunately, there's a lot of unprofessional and unethical behavior out there within people of the industry. We want to point out what some of these things are so that if you're doing them, stop. If you know someone that's doing them, turn them in. And if you're working with someone that's displaying any of these traits and everything, you might want to reconsider continuing to work with them. So let's also start by acknowledging and thanking our primary sponsor for making this show possible. That's New World Title, who is always looking out for the best interests of both the real estate consumer and the real estate agent. And they're always stepping up to the plate to helping us out. So for all of your settlement needs, New World Title has, I think, almost 15 locations now.
Yeah, 15 or 16 locations throughout the state of Florida.
Yeah, so they're just amazing. So hats off to them. But while I'll go ahead and find our segment here, and look, I found it. There it is. It's amazing. Here, you should stall long enough. You go ahead and do it. Hey, you know what? Before we forget, I want to mention this a couple times. Next week, okay? So today is what? The 14th?
Today's the 14th.
Okay, so on the 21st, we're going to do our first remote shooting.
We're going on the road.
We're going on the road.
We're taking the show on the road, right? That's when you know a show is taking root, is when you can take the show on the road.
Yeah, and I think part of it is because our staff just wants to get us out of here.
Yeah, they want us out of here so they don't have to deal with this, and they don't have to deal with
this. They don't know we're taking them with us. But we're going to go to Botanico in Weston. So it is an amazing luxury development. It's just unbelievable, the amenities and the architecture and the talent that they've assembled. So we're going to go there to see exactly what Botanical Weston is all about. So that's
really state of the art.
Absolutely.
I mean, absolutely. They're so forward thinking. You know, you have your conventional construction, and then you have Botanica construction.
Right.
It is completely forward thinking, and I encourage you guys to kind of stay up, especially the realtors, so you can really see what an amazing kind of development of the future looks like.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, I got to figure out something here. Tell them about what's going on this week. You said you've had an amazing week, and you're coming across from there. So direct your attention there while I work out the technical issues over here.
Listen, we had an amazing week this week. So far, it's only Wednesday, but we've had a bunch of settlements this week that we've resolved for clients. Our goal in our firm and what we do in our practice is, unlike a lot of foreclosure defense attorneys out there who simply stall the process to the very end, our goal is to try to get cases resolved. I mean, we take a very different approach to helping clients with their real estate litigation needs. We kind of look at a strategic end of the litigation as opposed to just figuring out a way to extend it as much as possible. Yeah, listen, some clients may want to extend it as much as possible. The majority of the clients that come to us, they want to resolve the case. They want to have the peace of mind of having a affordable mortgage payment that they can make with their bank so they can keep their home. And in those realtors out there that are in a situation where you have clients that are considering a short sale or a loan modification, just have them contact us. Have them contact us so we can really devise a strategic plan to get them to their end game, to their resolution of their case, as opposed to delaying a process that could take years and years and years, and it just kind of, you know, wears on people. I mean, I've got some clients that I've represented for 3 or 4 years. Man, I can tell you, it's almost like the presidency. It really wears on you. You know, you look at the new president coming in, and you look at 3 years out, and they really look beat up.
They've aged.
You know, foreclosures and that kind of process, any litigation has a tremendous stressful impact on you. So, I mean, I encourage you to contact us. Come see us. You'll meet with me personally so that we can evaluate your case and figure out whether or not, or your client's case, and figure out whether or not there's something that we can do to help them in the process. I'll just give my phone number out right now so that you folks can write it down. 954-437-9066. 954-437-9066. You can also reach us online, rcialawfirm.com, ARCIA lawfirm.com. I was telling you earlier that what we're seeing now, the trend, right? Because you know, litigation comes with trends,
right?
And real estate litigation, I mean, this is probably 90% of our practice is real estate litigation. So the trend that we're seeing right now is a lot of homeowner association foreclosures, and we're seeing a lot of re-foreclosures. What that means is that folks that were in foreclosure before, that thought that they were home free, everything was resolved, and now all of a sudden they find themselves right back into a foreclosure, and a lot of times they're kind of surprised into it. Some of these folks weren't even properly served with a complaint or summons or anything like that, and all of a sudden they're looking at a default situation, and they don't know what to do. So they start running all over the place. They'll go to courthouse, they'll do this, they'll do that. The first thing you need to do, guys, is contact a foreclosure defense professional. Contact our office. We can sit down with you. We'll walk you through it. HOA foreclosures. A lot of people have asked me, and they're basically dumbfounded when they find out that their association is foreclosing on their home on a lien that's maybe a couple of $1,000s. A couple of $100s.
But isn't there a minimum, Omar, before they can actually, the first step is they have to put a lien on the property.
Right.
Because in some states, there's a minimum that they must be owed in order for them to initiate foreclosure action. Is that the case in Florida?
There's no minimum.
Oh,
there's no minimum. So if you get an assessment of $1,000 and you don't pay it, if you get a past due of $400, $500 and you don't pay, the association has the ability to notify you, put a lien against your home, they'll send you a notice of lien, and then they have the ability to foreclose on that lien. Okay. And the reason why we're seeing all these foreclosures, in my opinion, is because the foreclosure statutes as it relates to associations in the state of Florida are very favorable to associations. Okay. And in particular, they're very favorable towards recovering attorney's fees in association foreclosure. So you'll see these associations that have a $300, $400, $500 claim of lien, the attorney's fees are $5,000. So all of a sudden, a lien that was $300 or $400 for that particular homeowner just turned into a $5,800 settlement. And that's the only way that they're going to be able to resolve their case, because they're not, I mean, the association had to pay those attorney's fees. The attorneys are not going to back off their fees. And guess what? They don't have as many association foreclosures nowadays as they had maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So they're going to be a lot more aggressive collecting on those debts.
So no minimum is required in those scenarios. And what do you think is the prime motivation of associations? Is it that they want to be in the real estate business and they want to take over that house, rent it out for a period of time before the bank gets around to foreclosing on them?
Well, we're seeing that in communities that a lot of folks are not paying their assessments. Associations have had to resort to that process of taking over the property in order to pay off some of the operating expenses of the association. And the best way to do it is to foreclose on that unit. Even if there's a first mortgage, the association will become the owner of that unit and have the right to rent it until and if the first mortgage actually wakes up and commences a foreclosure proceeding. Because we've seen some of these cases where the first mortgage takes 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years before they do anything to collect.
And that's real money the association is making. So, you know, I don't want to come across like I'm anti-association, because you know what? You have a debt. If nobody put a gun to your head to buy that home, you knew there was an association amount that's due. I get it, but so now that they become very aggressive and going after the property, you better believe it. You're more since we do so many short sales. I always tell people be more concerned about the association taking the house than the bank will.
Yeah.
So you're racing the association to the courthouse steps. But there's real money in it. They can turn around and take a single family home, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, turn around and rent that for $1,500 to $2,500 a month. And then, so in other words, and it's not like they can rent it only long enough to recover what is lost.
No, they're the owner.
They're the owner.
Right.
They're the owner. They're on title. But here's the thing: don't you dare ever go out there and buy a property from an association.
I mean, yeah, but I see
Yeah.
a lot of folks that come to me that,
Yeah.
that buy at a foreclosure auction,
Yeah.
an association foreclosure, thinking they're getting the house free and clear, and all of a sudden they find themselves in a situation where if the first mortgage doesn't want to cooperate with you, doesn't want to negotiate that first mortgage, then you're going to be stuck with paying that association bill. You just paid the association bill
Yeah.
for the homeowner, $15,000, $20,000, $25,000,
Right.
and you're going to lose the house as soon as the foreclosure starts with the bank.
Yep.
So that's a situation. You have to be very, very weary if the plaintiff in the case is an association. Please, I beg of you, if you're thinking about buying a property at a foreclosure auction and the plaintiff is an association, please seek legal advice. Please run the title on the property. You don't know what's on title, and if you bid in a crazy foreclosure auction because you're thinking you're getting the property, chances are you're not. If it's too good to be true, it probably isn't.
Well, there's also scenarios where it's after the fact. The association has already foreclosed on the property. They've been renting it for a while or whatever. Then they turn around and they sell it. And I've had people go and say, "I just bought myself a house for $20,000." And I went, "Really? Yeah. What is it?" "Oh, it's an association." I went, "Oh no." So they bought it. They bought it for $20,000. They turn around not realizing that there was a mortgage still on the property. The bank starts to foreclose on the property. They can't even turn around and rent it because it's got anti-rental restrictions on it. They can't do a short sale because they're not on the note. So they can't do it. So in essence, they threw away $25,000.
I have a situation just like that where a third-party bidder at a foreclosure auction bought an association foreclosure for 20 grand.
Right.
The property has been vacant for 8 years. And the foreclosure had just started after 8 years by the first mortgage. I don't even want to know what's inside that house.
Right.
I mean, it's basically a Pandora's box of all kinds of mold and other infestations that could be in there.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is you got to be very leery of that. And then the problem there is with the third-party bidder that bought the property couldn't rent it out.
Yeah. I mean, it's insult to injury to just continue it. I mean, it's just you're stuck there. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Just give the property back to the bank and save the hassle because you're done.
Absolutely.
All right. So that's an obvious concern. So one of the things I wanted to talk about today, and also to kind of go back, you mentioned that last week's show had the most viewings, and I think it's at 7,000 and counting. That was the one that we did that dealt with everything from home inspections to the Y-Green program. And we've gotten such great response on that program. So they're all available for you to go ahead and see. So they're on, if you're watching this show, just scroll back, you'll see the shows from
Every
last
single
week.
show
All the
every
shows
week
are on
is there.
Okay.
Feel free to go through them, and you're going to see all the different shows that we've done from day one.
Okay, so one of the things I wanted to do, because one of the great things about this show is that we can basically do whatever we want. I always say I only answer to two people. One is God and my wife, and sometimes I wonder in what order. So when you're an entrepreneur, you get what you want. But look, here's the thing. I wanted to take this opportunity to talk directly to real estate agents out there and consumers about one of the biggest problems I see within this industry, and that is that the lack of professionalism and ethical behavior on the part of our own. Unfortunately, not every real estate agent is created equally. Let's start with some very simple premises, okay? Getting a real estate license in the state of Florida, this is going to tick off some people, and you know what? I don't care.
At this point, if we're going to make a change, and we've talked about
Right.
this many times, if we're going to make a change, if we're going to act and suggest that brokers and act like professionals, a change has to happen.
Yeah.
You know, if nothing changes, nothing changes.
You gotta bring it up, right?
You know, you gotta bring it up, and it's like I said, it's gonna probably, you know, strike a chord with some people, but that's good because hopefully that will make a change that we need within this industry. We need to conduct ourselves as professionals, whether it's on the attorney side, on the realtor side, or in the broker side. And the other thing that I wanted to talk to you that's very important is as a broker within a real estate agency, they set the example.
Yeah, you're supposed to.
You know, you're like a dad in a family.
Yeah.
You know, you set the example and you're the mentor for.
Also watched by agents and people from all over the country. So let's go back to the very basic. To get your real estate license in Florida, you have to invest a whopping 63 hours of your life. You can go to a real estate school and attend from Monday through Sunday, stay awake, I guess, for most of it, okay? Take a question at the end, a test at the end of that, 100 questions, you have to get 70% or more right, so that means you can miss 30 of them.
Well, if you're an attorney, I don't have to go to 63 hours, right? You get a pass, right?
Yeah, okay, fine. Okay.
But I'm saying it's even worse. If you're an attorney, you don't have to even go to real estate school. You just take the test. If you pass, you're in. So I mean, in law school, you do a full year of professional ethics.
Right.
And you go through a very rigorous testing program to make sure that you can apply your rules of ethics to your professionalism. Right. And I wish that there was that kind of rigor within the real estate industry.
Well, you know what? You say you have a question, right? Because I keep trying these devices and I don't see them on here. Do you? No? No?
Okay.
Oh, there it is. Now it's just
you get the question.
Okay. So there's a question. We're going to get to that in a second. So we're seeing them come through right now. So I guess they come through at different intervals. You know, so somebody gets it before and I don't see it. But I want to go ahead and again, let me go back and set the stage. So 63 hours. Now there are other states in this great country of ours where you have to go through hundreds of hours of pre-licensing. But in Florida, the mastermind saw fit to only require it to be 63 hours. And some people see it as the most arduous, torturous test and exam that they ever have to take in their life. And I can't help but giggle and want to kind of like have this internal, I don't know, vomiting thing inside that says, are you really serious? You went through this massive 63-hour, now you have a license to go out there and ruin everybody's lives, okay? Because that's what happens. Oh, did I piss off enough people?
I think just getting started.
I'm just getting started.
I'll just keep it going. Just keep the mojo flowing.
So then what happens is they get their license, okay? And then they'll join a brokerage, and oftentimes this is where personal responsibility comes in. Listen, there's a ton of brokerages out there that are aggressively marketing for new agents. We're one of them, and we're proud of the fact that some of our top producers started as brand new agents. Now, a lot of new agents never make it. We talked about this a couple shows ago. 80% never make it into their second and third year. Okay, we're not going to go into all that, but the reality is that when you join an office, supposedly you're going to get training and support. Here's the real deal that's going on out there. And if you're a consumer and you're working with a real estate agent and you haven't asked some key questions, you haven't interviewed that agent. I believe that a consumer needs to interview an agent, and I believe that an agent needs to interview a consumer. Here's an example. I tell all my agents to sit down with a buyer and go through all of their needs. What do you want? What do you need? What can you buy? I also ask them to go ahead and determine and explain to them what their why is, what their motivation is, when do you need to move, why do you need to move. I also tell my agents, you know what, look at that person and find out if you like them. Because if you have to spend the next 2 to 3 to 4 months or longer working with them, if they're a jerk, don't work with them. And I got to tell you, not every real estate consumer is nice, not every real estate agent is professional, and don't work with someone you don't like. How about this? Give that to somebody you don't like in the business, okay? And ask that real estate agent who don't like to give you a 25% referral fee for giving them to them.
Absolutely.
But ask your
agent.
agent.
With clients. I mean, you need to evaluate that client at the very beginning of the relationship.
Right.
And if you assess from the beginning, and I've done this many, many times, if you just get that sinking gut feeling
Something ain't right.
that something ain't right, it probably isn't.
It probably isn't.
And make the call at that point to say, you know what, have the courage at that point to say, you know what, I feel something in my gut that says that's not the right person that I want to be dealing with. I don't want to be involved in that type of transaction. If things look a little shady, they probably are. And your license and your reputation, your credibility, all that's on the line.
Yeah.
So make a call. Have the courage to make a call to say, you know what, this is probably not the client that I want to be working with. This is not the customer I want to be working with. I want to refer it to someone else, and in a very professional way, basically cut off ties.
Yeah, you know what? I tell people all the time, I go, when you sit down with someone, and at the end you say, you know what? I appreciate the time that you devoted. I really got a chance to get to know you, but I got to tell you, I don't feel that I'm the right person for you.
Right.
And here's why. But that said, there's others that I can refer you to. So if you don't click, don't happen. But this is what I want to make sure that you guys understand, and that is that a few days ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago, one of our agents on their listing received an offer. And the offer, for all intents and purposes, was blank. The agent, working with the buyer, knew so little about the contract that they went ahead and essentially sent a blank offer, going ahead and say, go ahead and do it. So this is the thing, this is what's got to stop. And this is what totally pisses me off, that a person decides to become a broker. Okay, let's talk about how difficult it is to be a broker in Florida. Okay, you have to fog a mirror for 2 years. You have to have your license active for 2 years. You don't have to sell anything. You don't have to close anything. You don't have to prove you know anything. You just had to stay alive and active for 2 years. Then you go through the 72-hour course. You pass that. You take the license exam. Now you're a broker. Right. Now you decide to open up shop. And let me bring in a bunch of people in here. And there are models out there that, to me, are destroying the industry. They know who they are. I don't have to point them out. They know who they are. They bring people in. They don't train them. They don't support them. And they live out there. You know what? When somebody joins my company, they're a brand new agent. They're not allowed to submit an offer unless I review it. And I've torn my agents a new one. And I said, let me tell you something. If you don't care about your license, that's your problem. I care about mine. My job is to protect my license. This is how I feed my family.
Right, because your name that's going to be on that
offer.
offer.
And you know what? The consumer needs to be protected. My God, people, if you're putting an offer on the house, have the agent representing you explain what the offer says. Point to any chapter, any paragraph in there and say, what does this mean?
You know, but the thing is, Tony, we're in that soundbite society where we want to move things quick. We get an email, we don't even glance it, we forward it just thinking, assuming that everything is in order. Okay? And unfortunately, in this soundbite society, people, we still have to review our work. We still have to make sure that what we're passing on to someone else, what we're directing people to do, is valid, it has some substantiation to it, because it's going to have our name attached to it. The moment you forward that offer to someone else, it's your email, it's your name, it's your credibility, it's your company, that they can come back to you later and say, hey, wait a second, why would you allow this to happen?
Yeah, and the reality is, folks, that you are signing a legally binding document.
Sure.
Okay, an offer is not like, hey, you know, I get... No, once everyone has signed, you're on the contract. And we're a country of laws. So you have to take this serious. So one of the things that I think needs to change, okay, is that, and here's the problem we have with our industry. The state considers everyone that's licensed under a broker as an employee. But 99.99% of all real estate offices function as independent contractors. So we right away have our agents sign independent contractor. Now, agreement. Now, because they're independent contractors, we are technically not allowed to make things mandatory.
Right.
So, to preserve that status, right? So then what happens is we put on a training class and the agents choose to not go. And one of the things that I have found in the 4 years we've been operating Extreme and before that is agents want access to training. They just don't want to go. They want to join a company that makes training available. You guys offer training, right? Yeah. You offer training at night? Yeah, we're one of the few that does. You offer training in Spanish? Sí. You know, which one do you want to come to? Oh, no, I can't because I got a vacation. I'm going away that weekend. I got family in town. Oh, that's a bad week. That's a bad month. That's a bad year. So you know what I found out is many of the agents got their license because it sounded like a cool thing to do. Then they had a rude awakening where it's like, wait a minute, you mean I have to work? You mean I have to give up a Saturday? I have to give up Sunday? You mean evenings? What do you mean come to a class? And that's when the reality hits them and they realize, oops.
Talking about reality, I mean, you look at these reality real estate agent shows. I know that we've talked about this. When you look at some of these reality real estate agent shows and you see these these deals being put together by these clowns that call themselves real estate agents, and they put these multi-million-dollar deals together. What they don't reveal to you is that there's a whole staff of people that are putting these deals together. It's not the clown with the funny suit that's in front of the camera, yelling and screaming and throwing things around to make the reality show look more appealing. It's actually the person behind the process that actually makes the show operate the way it should. And to be honest with you, we had a little technical difficulty there. Our crack production team just hit the as long as you don't hit the stop button, we're good to go. We keep going. We're going to keep going.
Some of the folks in California, they're getting an earthquake. I go, no, that's just Gina hitting the camera.
Last year,
I'm sorry, did I just throw Gina under the bus?
The last show we were under a flood. Today we had an earthquake. This is a town of natural disasters.
I'm telling you, but she's turning like, look at the shade of red. Have you ever seen the shade of red?
Never have.
Never will again. Gina, you're doing a great job, and we appreciate what you're doing there. So here's where it can kind of, we can talk about the problem all day long. What is the solution? Okay. One is brokers stand for something, start offering training. Don't always sub out your training. How about you actually teach a class yourself every now and then, okay? And take responsibility for your agents. Agents, how about showing up? If you're blessed enough to work for a brokerage, and we're not the only one. We're not the only good company out there. There's a bunch that offers training and all that. Why don't you take advantage of it? Why don't you actually go? Okay, that would be a good start. Consumers, why don't you ask pointed questions to this person that reacted or responded to one of your inquiries? And it's not about how many deals they've done or anything else, is because everyone starts somewhere. It's about their commitment and the backing. I love it when new agents tell people, listen, I don't know the answer to that question, but my brokerage does, my broker does, I'll get it from them.
Absolutely.
And you know what, when we start taking these paces, these steps, they'll get better. The other problem I see is, I'll give you an example. The other day, an agent was trying to intimidate one of our newer agents that had a listing. And she presented the offer because, of course, all my agents, they have to present it. The last thing any one of my agents want to do is the wrong thing, because when I find out, I have a zero tolerance. It's like, there's a door, don't let it hit your butt on the way out, okay? And this agent was like, well, how do I know you presented it? We did. I want a signed affidavit from the seller that he saw the offer. I go, what kind of an idiot is this?
That just goes right into what I'm telling you. I believe, I have to assume, but I believe that those kind of demands are coming from the customer, from the client, through the agent.
I believe that.
Right? So I think what's happening also is that professional real estate agents are allowing themselves to be governed by their clients on things that are outside the realm of what a client should direct that agent to do. I mean, the client tells you, I accept, I reject the offer, this is what I'm selling, this is what I'm not selling, this is what's included in the deal, this is not what's included in the deal. But a client is not telling an agent, forget about enforcing that part of the contract, go file something or send something to the other side which ignores something that I have to do under this contract. And that's where the professional title kicks in for these real estate agents. You have to have the courage. And I'm going to use that word again. You got to have the courage to stand up to your client in a professional way and say, you know what, I'm not going to do that. I can't do that. And trust me, the customer, the client will appreciate the fact that you're in that moment have just proven yourself to be a professional in the face of a situation that could have gone awry.
Well, yeah, and it's ludicrous to go and say, I want the seller to sign an affidavit that they reviewed. I mean, it's one thing to say, I really want confirmation that my offer was reviewed and denied or rejected, but to go that far, and then this person goes on to say, well, I want to have my broker call your broker. I says, bring it. I would tear that broker a new one. I go, because tell me, based on what do you make those kind of requirements?
I've never heard of that.
Never heard of that. And I mean, so listen, this is South Florida. Laws are only suggestions, okay? And so people are making the rules as they go along, but there's got to be some common sense. So let's talk about, so I think everybody needs to do their part to make the situation better. We're not perfect. We're all going to make mistakes. That happens. But the better trained you are, the more support you have, of course, you're going to be in a better position to service the needs of your customers. One of the other things that's a pet peeve of mine is the amount of ego in the industry. You know, we could make this show a 60-minute commercial, and look, of course, there's a commercial capitalistic element to this show.
Sure,
you know, we're not doing this out of the goodness of our hearts. My parents didn't leave Cuba for me to come to here and go ahead and become a socialist or communist over here. Your parents either, right?
That's exactly
You know, but I believe that it's okay to do well when you're doing good for others. If this show helps and benefits somebody out there, great. And you know what? If we can get some business from it, great. But my goodness, you know, the amount of people out there that everything that they post is how wonderful they are. Look at the car I drive. Look at the thing like this. I go, it just makes me just, again, want to vomit that they're so full of themselves.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't realize, especially, you know, professionals, they don't realize that you don't get the opportunity to take off your professional hat and be, you know, a party animal on Facebook or a party animal on social media because people find that, right? So this is another aspect of professionalism that I talk to people about, and I get really, really, you know, hard about, especially, you know, folks that work for me or people that have worked for me in the past. I instill upon them the fact that you don't get the opportunity to take off your professional hat and then start posting stuff left and right. I can't tell you how many cases I've won on social media postings because of the fact that it's accessible to everyone. And you can't undo it. It's there. It's an open book about the kind of personality you have, about the kind of lifestyle that you lead. So please, if you're a professional, lead a professional lifestyle. If you don't want to be a professional anymore, well, that's your prerogative. You can certainly do that and stop being a professional and then go live the fancy free lifestyle and post all the other stuff. But you got to be a professional.
And you know what? Social media is really, it's a double-edged sword. You know, obviously we use it. There's a human element to it. A couple of weeks ago, I went ahead and posted how it really bothers me when I see real estate professional, mortgage people, title companies, where it's every day it's a different selfie shot, and there's more cleavage than anything else in the shot. And I'm thinking, you know what? I don't know how that creates more title business for you, how that creates more loan business for you. How do you think those kind of shots will motivate people to say, yes, honey, let's go pick her as the real estate agent that we want to work with?
It's about professionalism.
And I mean, and I'm just amazed that this practice goes on and on and on. Hey, listen, you know what? The term sex sells and opulence and all that, if that's what you're doing, go ahead and check your voicemail, because the 80s might be kind of wanting you back, because that really was the decade of all that crap. How about this? You know, why don't you just go out there and talk about how well you serve your customers, how you take care of business, how you're reliable, and
have customer testimonials. Have customers rate your quality as a professional. I mean, we do this on a regular basis, and that's a suggestion that I'm going to give out to everyone that's watching right now that's a real estate professional. Is I think you need to look at all the folks that you have done a deal with.
Right.
And you need to go back to those folks. And you need to take videos of those folks or take pictures of those folks and have them say exactly how they feel about the services they receive from you. I mean, it takes about 5 minutes to go meet with them, go buy them lunch, go buy them dinner, and take a quick, you know, a selfie. Just take a quick selfie video of them and you, and have them explain how their experience was with you, because that's what's going to sell new customers. That's what's going to bring new clients to you, is if they see other clients that are satisfied beyond belief with your services, not, you know, your headshots or your vehicles or what. I mean, that's going to turn people off.
You know what else drives me nuts too? It's the language used. And again, this is a free country. You can do whatever you want. But God help any of my agents under extreme and marketing themselves as an extreme agent drop an F-bomb on Facebook while they're representing my company. And you know what? Some of these real estate groups that have been formed, agents will go ahead and form these groups. I wouldn't participate in any of these for any amount of money, because they're vicious with each other. They'll go ahead and talk about their customers. and every other word is an F-bomb about their customer, and God forbid you with a competing real estate company.
Well, wait a second, isn't there something called confidentiality?
Yeah.
When you're speaking to a customer about their needs, about the kind of needs they have, about what they want to accomplish with this sale or the purchase of a property, isn't there a confidential relationship to a certain extent there about what they can disclose?
They won't mention names and all that, but it's just the way that they express themselves. It really brings our industry down, because there's a reason why when they do surveys and they ask consumers, where would you rank real estate agents as far as professionalism, we often are at the bottom of the list. And now social media has just given us an even bigger platform to go ahead and express that,
Yeah.
So look, I'm guilty. I mean, one of the things I try to do, and I'm not always successful.
All right, so let's look at we've identified the problem. Right. There's definitely a problem. Let's look at top three things. Realtors and brokers can do right now to start changing. I mean, we can come up with a list of 12 or 15, right? But the top three things, based on how it stands right now, that we can do to improve the image and professionalism of the real estate industry.
Okay, well, let's start with how you express yourself as a real. I can go back and say, one, a lot of real estate agents out there, you're doing blind advertising. You're doing advertising on Facebook and social media and all these things, and you're not identifying yourself with the company that you belong to. And that is an issue that they haven't clamped down on it, but at some point to raise revenues, it's going to happen. And we're already seeing some states come down on agents who come up with team names that make it sound as though they're brokers themselves. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be a problem. But I would say, one, me personally, and again, I've been guilty of this, but I try to tell my agents, I go, leave religion and politics, especially politics. Look, I'm a Christian and I'm damn. Okay, we're good? We're good? I'm a big believer that, hey, I won't deny my faith for anyone, okay? But there's a time and a place for me to express it. And you know what? Who I voted for president, nobody's business, okay? How you feel about the current president or
any administration or anyone in Congress or whatever.
Just understand, you have every right to post it, but when you do, you're going to tick off 50% of the other side.
Right.
So what is your motivation? Is your motivation to spark debate, to stir up some stuff, or is your motivation to grow your business? If your motivation is to grow your business.
So number one is make sure that when you communicate, both to the people in person and the people on social media, email, everything, it shows a professional communication style. Sure. It's not like you're communicating in a bar somewhere.
Sure.
Right? So number one is communicate professionally.
Right.
What else?
Attend training. Make the commitment to improve. Brokers, how about providing more training, encouraging your agents to attend, evaluate the agents. You know what? I got an idea. This is completely bizarre. Okay, brokers, start firing some people. I need to take my own advice. Okay? If they don't come to training, if they don't produce, if they don't participate, if they do nothing to grow your business or improve the industry or mankind in general, why are they working for you? Okay?
They're just basically bumping along.
Get them. Get them and send them to the competition. Do them a favor. Go ahead and send it to them. Yeah. Agents, you're with a broker that sucks. Your broker doesn't support you, doesn't answer your calls, doesn't put on training. You can't find them. You haven't even met your broker yet. Okay? You may be with the wrong company. So again, grow up. Grow up. Run this like a business. This is not about, I don't want to hurt someone's feelings. You got in this business to supposedly provide for your family and your welfare and everything else, running like a business.
Absolutely. What's number three?
I don't know. You do number three.
All right. All right. I'll take over number three.
Number three.
All right. Number three is make sure, and I've been harping on this, you have the courage to act like a professional before your customers.
Ooh.
Don't let your customer determine your professionalism. Don't let your customers dictate how you should behave as a professional. You're a professional, and if you need better direction on what you need to do and how to behave like a professional, then you need to get more training.
Yeah.
But don't let your customers dictate how you conduct yourself as a professional with with other professionals, because it lends a tremendous amount. If you let your customer say, just do this because I want you to do it, and you just do it because you want to appease them, because that commission is so incredible and you want to make sure that you complete it, then you know what? You're doing yourself and the profession a disservice.
Yeah.
Make sure you act like a professional. You demonstrate to that customer that you are a professional.
So, today we toyed with the idea that we might, stop the show a little early, but I think we got a lot still to cover. And I'm feeling better, folks. I feel...
You vented a lot. It's a lot of venting.
I just feel cleansed. I feel like I've done my part. I got to get to some questions on the legal side. I got a couple on...
It's almost like you just kind of vented all this frustration you have.
I'm good. I've done my part.
We're good at least until next Wednesday.
Luckily to the end of the afternoon. Look, I got a question for you, and look, I may be wrong. You've established that it's possible for me to be wrong, and I think you were wrong once. When does that hurricane season start again, brother?
You're never gonna let me. That's not gonna happen.
Not gonna. Okay. Now, inspection period. This is one of the things that confuses the heck out of consumers, listing agents, agents representing the buyers, with respect to the as-is contract and the inspection period.
Right.
Okay. It is my belief that the way the contract reads, in the inspection period, we've established that the consumer can cancel, and it says at their sole discretion.
Sole discretion.
For whatever reason, and they don't even have to give a reason to the other side. We've established that.
Right.
But let's say today is the deadline for the inspection period. And 3 days ago, I entered into a negotiation with the seller on the buyer side. I enter into a negotiation with the seller side that we want some things taken care of.
Okay.
Okay? We go back and forth. No agreement is reached.
Nothing in writing.
Nothing is writing. In fact, we don't even have an agreement. We haven't agreed that they're willing to do anything, whatever.
Right.
Today comes and goes, and because I didn't explicitly cancel that deal, I have essentially waived my right to cancel.
100%.
Wait a minute. I'm not done. Because here's what a lot of agents out there think. But I brought up the issues. I've already mentioned that we want certain things done. And little old me, never graduated from high school, self-taught, I read the thing and it says, it doesn't say one must commence negotiations by this time. It says either you do it or you don't.
That's it. It's black and white.
Then why are so many people the impression that if I began the process of trying to work out something with the seller prior to the deadline, it doesn't matter that we went past the deadline. I started it, so I'm not bound by that
Well,
contract.
that's because of what you said. I mean, in South Florida, the laws are suggestions. Contracts are suggestions. Contract terms are suggestions. They're not binding. The contract is binding and it's clear and it has been revised many a time to ensure that it is clear and that the drafters of those contracts meant what they said and they said what they meant. So that means that if the negotiation is not completed, if the parties have not completed an addendum which specifies exactly what kind of repairs need to be made subject to the inspection, then you've waived the right to claim that the inspection period is still open. The parties can agree to extend the inspection period. So if you've got issues, if you're still negotiating the terms of the inspection or things that need to be repaired in connection with the property, guys, be a professional. Have the courage to go to the other side and say, listen, this deal is off unless we have an agreement to extend you may not have an agreement to make the repairs, but let's at least have an agreement to extend the inspection period by another 15 days, by another 30 days,
5 days, 2 days,
whatever it is.
Yeah. So what Omar said now is so incredibly on point. So here's the deal: you start the process 2 or 3 days before your deadline. Okay, as you're approaching the deadline, you send one or two things or two things to the other side. Number one, here's our cancellation and release. If we're not in agreement by X day to the time today, consider this deal done. My buyers have already signed it. They want their money back.
Exactly.
Okay. The second item you can send them is, here's an extension to extend the inspection period for X number of more days.
Yeah, we can keep
Okay.
the deal alive so long as your client agrees
Yeah.
to sign this.
Yeah, so in other words, if either we get the addendum signed extending it so that we have more time to discuss
Right.
this and it's received, or consider this deal dead and here's my cancellation.
Right, and not an email, and not a text, not an Instagram post.
Yeah,
you know,
the actual
an actual
cancellation release.
addendum that needs to be signed by the parties extending the inspection period. Otherwise, the inspection period expires on the day that it's stated on the contract, and you lose a security deposit. It's that simple.
Yeah, and what happens is people have been in business so long and they've gotten away with doing it wrong for so long, they justify, well, I've always done it that way. Doesn't
Yeah,
make
until
it
they
right.
hit an attorney like me,
Yeah.
where I'm going to go
And you
after
tear
that
'em
security
apart.
deposit.
You tear them apart.
You know, and I'm going to go, not only am I going to go after the security deposit, I'm going to go after them for my fees.
Yeah.
And most of the attorneys that are handling these cases, I'm going to give folks a little tip out there.
Yeah.
Most of the attorneys that are handling these cases are not charging their clients. They're doing it based on their recovery. And they're recovering from the other side at a much higher rate than they would otherwise charge their existing clients. So what I'm trying to tell you is that I'm going to bill at $475, $525 an hour.
That it?
Okay, for recovering security deposit claims, because I want to get the security deposit from my client, and then I'm going to go after the attorney's fees from the seller,
Yep.
or I'm going to go after the attorney's fees from the buyer. So, I mean, that's what people don't understand out there. They say, oh, well, they'll never do this. Okay, bottom line is, unless you have your ducks in a row, unless you sign an addendum signed by both parties, you stand the risk that your client can face potential attorney's fees.
Well, yeah, I mean, and you try to be the real estate agent or be the real estate agent that has to explain to their buyer how, because you didn't do one of the two things we suggested, they now accepted the property in the as-is condition that they have.
Yeah, that's the day that real estate agent will probably hang up their title, they'll hang up their shingle and say, you know what, this is too hard for me, I'm going to go back to working at Walmart.
And as a broker, I'm in a tough spot because the first thing someone's going to say, well, what do I do? I says, well, when was the inspection period over? Okay, so it was over yesterday. Okay, so you're toast.
It's done. That's it.
You're
Your
done.
deposit's gone.
Or, you know, hopefully the people are still motivated to go forward. So a couple of questions here online here is, number one, last year a house was listed at $259. The appraisal came in at $282. The buyer agent told the client to offer $280, so they closed at $280. Now the buyers want to sue the realtor because they felt that she was not professional and didn't take care of them. Okay, I'm not sure I understand.
No, I get where they're coming from. I'm saying what they're doing is they're holding the realtor and the real estate agent to a higher standard. Okay?
Right.
Because the realtor and the real estate agent is not God. The real estate agent says, this is the offer, this is what the property is worth, you offer whatever you feel is right.
Right.
Okay, you accept what you feel is right. I mean, and then you also have to take into account the possibility of litigating over $2,000.
But what I don't get here is, okay, the property was listed at $259, the appraisal came in at $282. Well, normally the appraisal happens after you're under contract.
Right.
So there's information missing here. Okay, the buyer told the client to offer $280. Okay, again,
it may have done an appraisal like pre-contract just to see what the value of the property was.
But if it appraised at $280 and the buyer makes an offer of it was appraised at $282 and it was contracted at $280, they're $2,000 in the benefit. I don't understand where the buyer's mad there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
well, maybe they were representing the seller, and the seller accepted a deal that was $2,000 less than what the property was worth.
Yeah. Please, whoever wrote that question, if you have time between now and the end of the show, elaborate more, or we'll attend to it off air because there's not enough there to do it. How about this one here? A buyer was already approved by an association to purchase a property, but the deal was postponed. Now the association is requesting several sensitive information from the buyer. They want to source where the down payment came from, asking copies of all bank statements, breakdown of all buyers' checking and savings accounts. The association is also questioning deposits and transfers noted in the bank statement, so the buyer So in other words, does the association have the right, because it almost seems like the association is acting like the lender.
No. What's going on there is that that property owner probably is in default, probably owes the association some money.
Right.
And the association is getting some pre-judgment discovery on how they can execute on an eventual judgment against that homeowner if this deal doesn't go through. So they're getting bank account information, what bank account they can garnish.
But they're asking it from the buyer.
Oh, from the buyer,
yeah.
The buyer coming in?
In other words, the buyer coming in. Yeah, the buyer.
I thought it was from the seller.
Yeah, no, the buyer is seeking approval from the association to be able to purchase, right? And the association is raking them over the coals as though the association is loaning them the money.
Yeah, they're pre-approving them, and it depends on their bylaws. I mean, you have to look at the bylaws of that association. If as a new buyer going into that association, they have the right to request that information to evaluate with this kind of homeowner is someone that can afford maybe a very high association fee or assessments and that sort of thing in connection with that property. They may have the right to get that information.
Have you seen that happen a lot with the association?
No,
they go into that kind of detail about sourcing where the money is being deposited and everything else?
No, usually I've seen a situation where the association uses a purchase and sale situation to get information regarding the seller's assets so they can go after the seller eventually. But I've never seen a situation where they have that level of request from a buyer. But the key there is to go to the bylaws and ask the association, where in your bylaws, does my client have to provide that information? Because you don't have to do it by law.
Yeah, the association, some of them are on some real power trips as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, then we'll make a couple quick announcements about events we got coming up. Last legal question I wanted to ask you, and this happens a lot. In a short sale, is the seller allowed to receive monies from the buyer under the table, undisclosed to the bank?
Are you asking this? Is this a setup? Is your...
No, it's not a setup. Right, so but do you think it might actually happen here in Florida?
Listen, I guarantee you that it happens.
Right.
But one of the things that I tell my clients that are considering a short sale, the first thing they say is, can we get some money out of it? Okay, listen to the word, short sale. That means that the lender is short on the money that's coming to them. So why would the lender agree that you can keep some of the money that's coming from that deal? It's not, unless you qualify for some kind of program where you, under the HAFA program, where you get relocation expenses anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000, that sort of thing, where the bank specifically agrees to that, because usually in cases where it's your primary residence, they'll agree to something like that. But generally speaking, it is illegal to receive any money under the table in connection with the short sale at all from the buyers.
Yeah, but the way they do it is, but we got this, okay? I'm selling my furniture.
A bill of sale.
All this stuff like that. I go, dude, it's illegal. What is it about the illegal part?
Sell your furniture on OfferUp. Sell your furniture on Craigslist. But don't sell it, and don't make sure that there's no contract for the sale of your furniture with a short sale buyer.
Listen, if you're an agent representing a seller in that scenario, it all begins with the interview with the seller. And they have to have the right motivation, and they will ask you, what's in it for me? And here's what I typically do, because I've been around the block a few times. I'll go ahead and say, that's a great question. Let me do this. I'm going to get my calculator out. And I'm going to say, let me ask you, how much is that mortgage payment that you haven't made? And they say, it's $2,500. And how many years have you not made it? 5. Okay, 2,500 times 60. Here's what's in it for you.
Yeah.
Here's the money you didn't spend.
For starters.
To start.
For starters.
Doesn't include the fees.
Doesn't include the homeowner's insurance you haven't paid, that the bank has paid. Doesn't include the taxes that the bank has paid all these years.
Right.
Doesn't include the waiver of deficiency that the bank is giving you and not pursuing the difference between what the bank is getting on the short sale and what you owe the bank.
Right.
How about the fact that you now, through a short sale, as far as your credit is concerned, you're going to be able to buy a home in a lot sooner time frame than if you allow the property to go through a foreclosure sale or a foreclosure auction.
Right.
I mean, there's so many different reasons why you should pursue a short sale. And I always tell people, just like a foreclosure and a defensive foreclosure is not a do-it-yourself proposition.
Yeah.
It's not Home Depot where you go do it yourself. a short sale should not be a do-it-yourself proposition. You should rely on professionals, on your real estate professionals, on your legal professionals that can negotiate directly with the underwriters for the bank or the lender or the servicer and can get you the best deal possible. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a short sale approval letter not contain a waiver of deficiency. And then I'm defending a client 5-6 years later regarding the deficiency that they should have taken care of if it were properly represented at the time of the short sale.
Okay, so look, you're representing a seller, they ask you to do this, say no, prep them during your interview. Say there will be buyers that will contact you directly saying, please sell to me because I'll give you $5,000 under the table. If they even give an inclination that that's something that they will do it, fire them.
That's a gut feeling, right?
Fire them there and say, listen, I got to tell you something. Here's the line I use. I go, I got family that I know, like, and trust more than you, and I won't go to jail for them. So why would I go to jail for you? Because orange is not my color, not with this complexion, okay? So as we start winding down, let's wrap up. So we have next week's show is going to be
I'm looking forward to next week's show.
At Botanico, Weston. So that's going to be a fantastic opportunity to see what the luxury side is all about. Folks, I'm going to ask questions and say, how can you be on the show? Let's say that you have a product or service that would be beneficial to our audience. Reach out to us. We're always looking for folks. We have plans to bring an insurance, home insurance person on the show because that's a critical component in the home purchase. I'm already in talks with somebody who owns a surveying company.
Mortgage company? We've got to talk to a mortgage company.
Yeah, we've got to talk to a couple of great lenders out there that might have some programs and some do and don'ts and everything else. So we want this to be a situation where we're always bringing fresh content and everything to you. Any suggestions that you have going forward, let us know. Don't be afraid to ask questions after the fact. We monitor this all the time. So questions off air are either answered by me or go ahead and forward them to Omar and I can go ahead and do it. So from a commercial side, I want to mention that two things. One, we do have some folks from Highlands County that watch the show, and we have an office in Lake Placid. I'm coming up there on June 27th to do some serious training because it turns out that Highlands County is number 3 in foreclosures in the state of Florida.
Wow.
Yeah. So Highlands County has a big need.
I'm going to go out there with you.
Yeah, let's do it. Absolutely. Okay. The other thing we want to talk about is that if you're local to South Florida, coming up on Saturday, June 24th, again, you may watch this show a year from now, and this means nothing, but if you're watching this now or will watch it between now and the 24th, we're putting on 2 great first-time homebuyer seminars here in our Davie office. So we're going to do one in English and one in Spanish. But it's amazing how many folks are renting right now that could buy, could afford to buy, but no one has spelled it out for them. So,
well, I think that renting is the only option at this point.
And there's programs out there, you know, down payment program, first-time homebuyer program. So in wrapping up, for all of your real estate needs, we also always want you to consider Extreme Realty Team. We can be reached at 954-530-0211. Once again, 954-530-0211. Listen, we want your comments, your feedback. You don't have to agree with everything we say. We know that when we take positions, you can have as many people that disagree with you as agree with you. When I'm wrong, I admit it. You know, if there's changes or enhancements we need to make, we're obviously willing to consider it. Omar, how can they reach you?
Listen, today was a reality check show, right?
Yeah.
Today was a gut check show. And I hope that people out there are realizing that, listen, we're not all about, you know, sugar plums and fairies and that sort of thing. We want to make sure that we're out there and we're professionals all the time. The message we want to send out today is have the courage to be a professional. Have that courage to be a professional before in the eyes of your client and mentor the people that are around you. Because remember, people will emulate what you do and what you say. Not what you tell them, but what you do and what you say when people aren't watching necessarily. So make sure you have the courage to be a professional. And I tell that to people all the time, not only in my office, but all the people that I affiliate with. I encourage you to contact our office if you have any questions regarding any real estate deal. We handle not only real estate transactions, but also real estate litigation of every kind. We've been doing that for 22 years. We do a lot of foreclosure defense litigation, short sales. We have a complete loss mitigation team to handle short sales as well as loan modifications. And we also do a lot of consumer advocacy stuff, because a lot of people are getting notifications from debt collection companies and that sort of thing, which contain false information. A client came in the other day and he actually got a discharge notice for a 1099-C saying his debt has been discharged completely in connection with a credit card debt, and he just got sued by the same credit card company.
Can't have it both ways.
Right, so I mean, those kind of claims, we get that all the time, and I encourage you to contact us. Our office number is 954-437-9066, 954-437-9066. I'm old school. I believe in meeting with my clients face-to-face the first time. You can contact us. We'll set up an appointment, and we'll look at your case, and I'll evaluate it personally.
All right, once again, we want to give our thanks to New World Title for always supporting us. So on behalf of Extreme Realty Team and our CL Law Firm, we'll catch you next Wednesday at noon. Thanks, folks. Take care.
Next time.